Okay. Let me send out the ping to let everybody know we're getting started. I'm dropping frames because of the network. Okay, I gotta. Oh no, my network is crap. Spunky, can you see? Can you look at YouTube? And I'm like rotating the rings around. Yeah, there's a little bit of a delay, but like, is it choppy? Is it bad quality? All right, I'm getting red flags from YouTube about drop packets, but we'll go with it. Okay. All right, let's do this. So I wanted to make I hate making signet rings, and it's one of the things I use Rhino 5 for a lot is VSR shape modeling to make this corner. And let me pull this up real quick to show you. Oh, goodness. Okay. So this is kind of the problem with making signet rings is you've got the head, which is pretty easy to do. You've got this, what you would typically call the bridge section of a ring, which is easy to do. The shank inside the finger, it's this shoulder. The shoulder, you always work yourself into a 5-sided surface. And that's where the unfun part comes in. So I usually take this into Rhino 5 and use virtual shape to make this. And that really destroys any ability to do history. One, because I'm going back and forth to Rhino 5. Rhino 5 doesn't have the same history stuff that 7 does. And you just, I mean, this does not look like a ring that's made for history, but I think I figured out a way to do it pretty okay. Now, I'm not going for mathematical continuity between these guys, and in fact, it probably won't pass analyze surface zebra. Like, it probably won't pass a zebra test, and that's okay because, yep, it's going to be a rough cast surface. I just don't want it to be lumpy. I just don't want close zebra. I just don't want it to be lumpy. And I can see right here that it's got a little bit of a lump. And as long as it's not too bad, as long as it's not too bad through here, as long as this is smooth, then, a little lumpiness over here is fine. So I made it into like a different top shape and different finger size. This is the finger size that we're going to. This is the shape that we kind of want to emulate. So we're going to pop that over here and just kind of center it. It's a 40-year-old signet ring that was hand carved, so it's not perfectly symmetric, but that's okay. All right, so going down this side, so I've got that on our temp layer so I can turn it on and off, and we'll just lock it so we can't accidentally select it. So you have a layout panel here. The head, so this controls the height of the head over the ring, and we have this, which is where we do our layout curves. Those will come up down here in the head. All right, so we have the head for the shank. This is just for doing history stuff. So this maps to this, and this maps to that. And it's for putting down some curves so we can get a blend that's not really lined up with an ISO curve. In fact, when I look at the Shank Blends, nope, these guys, yeah. So you can see they're coming off at an angle, and they're over here. They're over here for me to edit like this while I'm looking at the shape of it over here. So I can see, you know, that's not the shape I want. Okay. You know, I want it to kind of be straightish. All right, so those are our shoulder blends, and that's the shank. I showed the head. Then we've got two shank profiles. We've got this one and this one. Now, usually when you do a signet, you would have one profile, but this profile is tied to the inside shank surface. So that's the finger profile. And I did two, so you could make these comfort fit. You know, the outside shank, which is this guy, the outside shank and the inside shank, put the left view on here. You can see that this is the inside, and it doesn't, you probably won't have to edit it unless you move it back to like a standard, like if you pop this out to be the same level, like you were going for a regular signet. And I know that blend is kinked. That's something we'll have to fix. But you shouldn't have to move it unless you're changing this from a comfort fit, and that's what I do most of the time. So the width of the head shouldn't matter because it ends right here. This is all blend, right? So this head can get smaller, bigger. The blend takes up that gap. Hold on one second. Is that it? Okay, bye. Okay, sorry about that. We shouldn't have to change this for different head sizes because it terminates right there. It just barely peeks over, and then that's it. So those probably don't need to be changed at all. And the way those work is it's not curve to view. It is, I should have a trash layer. Yeah, junk is underneath. It is pull loose. So this curve, when I turn on my finger size, this curve is pulled to this plane loosely. Yes, that is the inside finger. And that way, this surface, curve to view, you can't do with loose. But with these project and pull to surface, you can. And that way, if we pull it loose, we'll have the same number of points between each side when we go to do the loft. And the same thing with this one. Although this is never touched because whatever this is, this one's just going to match. So this is actually a copy of this. Okay, so those are the profiles. And then for the shank, we have, I kind of ordered it where as you're editing, this is kind of the order that you would go through. So first is the finger size. And I want to make sure that my head, well, let's do the head first. So I want this ring is right about where it should be. So my head layer, that needs to go up to about there to match this ring. That's all going to update. And then this is our finger size. So I'm going to grab the finger size curve and scale 2D from there to there. And there's like a mile long bit of history going on to update all of that. But we'll put this back into shaded mode and turn off our temp. And you can see that I've got the same comfort fit. This outside, so next to finger size, there's a thickness. So you have two curves here for thickness. And these are offsets. So that's 1.5 millimeters, I believe, is what I did. Measured distance from there to there, 1.5 millimeters. And this is a template file. So there's history baked into things, but I have no problem like break history on that. And if you want it to be 2 millimeters thick, you can scale 2D and figure out where 2 would be. So if that was 1.5, this is probably 2. And now you've just made like all of that updates. So now you have a 2 millimeter thick. And if you want this transition point between the outside and your comfort fit to move as well, you would grab that curve that's part of the thickness. So those are your two thickness curves. I actually do want it to be 1.5 millimeters, so I'm going to bump it back and I want to get right to when I did that. Okay. I don't remember everything I just did. All right. And next going down, so you have finger size, thickness, then you have your shank bends. You have a U and a V bend. So let's grab select sublayer objects and isolate that and see what we're working with. Okay. And I'm going to pull back in the surfaces. I guess if I do this, I can see where the curves are. So you've got a blend here. You've got a blend here. And what is this blended to? Well, there is a whole junk layer. Like there is a bunch of stuff in this file to make this work that you don't need to ever touch. It's always going to update with the size of the finger, and you just never need to touch it. Like even when you decide to break things like changing the outside thickness, you just never need to touch it. So this curve, I can say edit. I can edit this blend and, you know, not make it so. Oh, Spunky, your mic is, can you mute? Your mic is going crazy. Oh. Is somebody else in? Okay. All right, so I can update that and that will change that profile. And then down at the bottom, you know, I've got this coming around, but I showed earlier where that's a good example. I want to bring that back. And if I do want this to be a squared off finger profile, okay, I would move that to be in line with the outside. And then I would come in here and blend edit this up, blend edit this to be positional. And this one to be positional. So that is something I would have to fix at the end, but that's okay. If I get most of the ring made in 15 minutes, I don't mind coming back and fixing that. You would just, to fix it, I'm going to break it. Split by isocurve, cut it there, take that out, and then just make a four-sided surface to fit in there. Boop, 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 boop. And there, it's fixed. Undo, 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 undo. Okay. This is what I want it to be, so I'm going to keep that one where it is. So those are the shank bends, and then you have the shoulder bends. So that is select sublayer objects, and we'll isolate with lock so you can leave the surfaces there. That's these guys. This is the blending of the shoulder, and I don't like that shape. It's kind of funky. So I have, I believe it's this guy. Yes. We can drag him over. And this is a flow along surface from, this is the inner finger and this is the outer. That's the outer. That's the inner. This curve is this curve. So if I move that one, you'll see this guy move. But I want to get this lined up a little better than it is. That actually looks pretty good. It looks fairly straight. And this one looks, this guy could come down a little bit more. Okay, and now we've got kind of an even-sided patch that goes between them. This curve is a blend between these two surface edges. If I unlock there and there. All right, so that edge to that edge makes up that curve. And if you look in the junk layer, there is extracted isocurves that you should never need them. I mean, maybe if you wanted to move an extracted isocurve, you could, like if you didn't like where that blend ended up being, we could move that a little bit. But I don't think you would want to edit those very often, so I put those on junk. You can edit this blend because it's a blend. Edit this blend, and just if you click the tangency thing again, it will recalculate. And we can do that for this one. Tangency, okay. And that updates. We can do the same for these. Although I don't think this is, I think I have this in a little bit. Okay, that'll update. And then let's look at these bulges. That's sticking out a little much. So let's back that off a little bit. I think that's worse. Oh, I hate that. Stop it. I think I want to go out more and then bring that in. All right, let's see how that looks. That looks like a, I mean, it's right now it's a square head going to a shank. So this is going to be a big fat corner. It's going to need an extra sprue. But that's the U and V on the shoulder. And my color scheme, I have a violet, which is V. So if you look at these curves, well, that's for the shoulder. Let me unlock the shoulder so you can see the colors. Unlock. Okay, so V is violet. That's my V direction. And then U is this ugly yellow, because there's no color I could think of that starts with U. So the ugly yellow is my U direction. And that's been part of my color scheme forever, along with being able to see backsides. And so I do this a lot. If you've ever been doing a flow along surf and you change something and then all of a sudden everything goes from one way to the other way, that bothers me because I usually have a lot of history set up on that kind of stuff. So I have in my flow along surf, auto adjust no. So left click is rigid no, right click is rigid yes, rigid groups always off, and auto adjust no. And so I can look at this surface and look at this surface. Well, those two don't go together. Unlock this one. This surface, violet is going across the shorter length, and ugly yellow is going along the length. Those two match. The inside finger, those match. Now, the direction might not be the same. So this looks like, and I can't figure out how to change this color, but blue is pointing to the right, red down. And if we go look over here, blue is to the right, red is down. So those match. It only takes a second to set up, but I never get to the end of a model and have things just orient themselves any different way they want because I changed something. Okay, go through the rest of the file. Then we have the side patch. So we have a blend and a trim. So this is the blend. I'll turn the trim off. That's the blend. You can come in here and edit this blend. And then the trim is the blend pulled to the surface. So I'm going to turn lock objects off, take this and trim. And this is how you get how you solve that 5-sided patch. The curves are already in here to do it. Turn on my head curves. Oh, they're on, they're just hidden. Turn on my head. So now I need a surface to go into this patch. I'm going to turn curves off so I only select the surfaces and do a network surf. And I want to go here, here, oh, here, here, and here. And then C is positional. B is tangent C, A is tangent C, D is tangent C. That is a lot of iso curves. It is a very busy surface, but we're going for speed. And now you solve the 5-sided hole with two curves or two surfaces using curves that are already in the template. Okay, and then on the head, we'll lock those surfaces. All those curves should be off. Okay, so for the head, we have our control curves, which are these two. And we got an Amber Alert. Okay. We've got the head on. There it is. Okay. Just show everything. Okay, so we have templates over here that, these are common shapes that I can just grab for tracing. The curves are still off. So let's look at our ring and see which one it looks like the most. I'm going to change this to shaded. Oh, changed the wrong viewport. Shaded. And let's just see, not quite round, but it's roundish. Okay, so I'm going to grab this template and just move it off of there to the center of there. Okay. And we can lock that. Your control curves are these two curves right here. You have junk, which is the blend between them. And there's probably some more junk over here. Let me turn that off. The curves that actually make up the surface, that's these guys, and then the surface itself. So that's pretty much it to the head. It's a lot simpler than the ring. So I'm going to bump this up by 30 so it's underneath. And I use 30 a lot in modeling for setting up different areas. And this, we'll set that Y down to there. And this, it looks like a little bit wider circle. Maybe something like that. And then leave these points on. And just kind of bend this up. Bend. Just kind of bend that in. This needs to be on the same X though. So I started bending a little too early. Nope. Well, that looks lumpy. Does this look lumpy? I'm not used to this layout because okay, so we need to edit this to reset it because Rhino things still looks a bit lumpy. It'd be easier if I was just actually matching this white curve instead of, you know what, let's do that. Because this is basically a little bit of a little bit wider of a circle. Just match that up. Edit that. Boom, boom. All right, we need to give it a little bit more breathing room. Okay, that's a lot smoother. Okay, so if we look at our ring and bop that back -30, we need to make it a little bit bigger, I think. Scale to D off of there. Okay. I think that looks good. Okay, so this shank is, let's go back to our normal views. So this shank is tapered in too much. The guy really liked this older class ring and he wants one just like it. So we're going to go to we did our finger size. We did that first. The thickness is okay. So the Shank Bends, we want that's the U. Let's look at the V's. There's the V's. Okay. And look, two curves came alive up here. Take this, move from the endpoint to the edge, and take that, move from the endpoint to the point. And what that did was line up this surface with this edge, because this is controlling the angle of that. So if I want to match that, it's a little thick through there. And again, this was a hand carve, so we just need to get close. And this one, take and get that to kind of match. There we go. So not perfect match, but that's okay. I think it might actually match better on the other side. Rotate 180. Yeah. See, this side it's too much. That side it's not enough. The one bad thing I'll say about having a scanner is it makes me worry about this stuff way too much. It doesn't matter. It'll feel the same even if it's a little bit off. All right, let's turn our scan back off. And then you can see that this is fallen out of line. So this is the, that was the Shank Bends. And now the shoulder. What did I name it? Put that on. Shoulder Blends U. Okay. So the reason this is all janky right now is because this needs to move to our endpoint. And this needs to move to an endpoint. And that makes sure these curves line up right with, it's on the junk layer. These curves line up exactly with the segments on this head. Unlock it. You know, we've got it. We want, you know, those three sections to line up with our three pieces over here. And now that does. Okay, let's look at these blends. Well, so I adjusted this a little too early. So that's pointing off in the wrong direction. Yeah, that looks more smooth. And on the top side, that's not quite pointing in the right direction. Oh, that's weird. It looks like it's not, but this curve must really, that's weird. Yeah, I don't like this. See how it's bulging? Okay, that looks good. Let's see how straight this one is. We need to, we want to get it nice and straight and smooth, lined up. Okay, that's good. And that patch is locked onto something wrong. We'll figure it out in a second. Okay, let's look at the next thing, this bulge. That bulge looks a little bit fat, so let's well, let's check our reference. Yeah, that bulge is a lot fatter. Huh, our head's actually bigger in this one. Oh well, I'll fix it later. Edit. And we want to taper that in. And the other thing we can do is grab our top and move that over, and that will change the start of that. And we kind of want the other side to match a little bit. So we're going to go a little bit more on that side. And that angle also. I think I liked where it was before I ever touched it. Okay. So that patch is done. Let's turn our thing back off. So we did the U's. Now let's check the V's. There's the problem. That's why this thing got jinky. I turned on the junk and I moved this thing that I said you probably never have to move. Move. Let's bring this down into there because we want it to. That's kind of janky. All right, that's smoother. Okay, and then let's edit this just to give Rhino a little reset. Okay. It should match that curve because it's a network surface, but it does not like that shape, which we can fix. That is this one. Nope, that is not that one. This one. Yes. Straighten that up. That seems good. That all seems good. All right, and now the last thing is to do our 5-sided surface. We can see that that is the trim curve. Turn off my other stuff. That is the trim curve. So this is about to break history. So I'm going to turn lock history off and say trim. Oh, all the surfaces are locked. Trim. Did I? Oh, it's locked on the layer. Sorry. Trim. There we go. And now we're just left with this whole, and I'm going to deselect the curve. Otherwise, if you try and run like network surface when you have curves there, every time it's going to say, do you want the curve or the surface edge? Just turn your curves off. Surface edge, surface edge, surface edge, surface edge. And then you'll just have to change C to positional. And let B, A, and D. Tangency's fine here. You're not going for perfect. You're going for good enough to cast and buff. Tell that okay. Now we grab our unlock everything. We're gonna curves are off. We grab our surfaces, do quad mirror, grab that top, grab everything. Did I get the inside? It's probably hidden. Silly me. Quad. All right, grab everything and make sure lock is off because you can't join things if they're locked. Join. And let's see if all the surfaces, nope. Almost. We got one little surface that doesn't match, but that's easy enough to fix. We're going to explode. I'm going to grab this side. Oh, I did it right the first time. Hit delete. So this is not matching up to this. So, and this is now a trim surface. Nuts. Okay, trim by isocurve. Split surface by isocurve. Try that again. Split curve by isocurve. Toggle the direction to there. Grab that, delete, and we are going to do a four-sided surface. Boop, 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 boop. We got that. Let's join it first before we do all the mirroring around this time. I'd hit delete, which turns lock children back on. Okay, we've got no red lines. Select curve, hide. Yes, all black lines. So that's another thing about my display mode is naked edges are red and closed edges are black. So join and into one open poly surface because we did not grab the head. Join into one closed poly surface. And I don't know if I was paying very close attention to our template that we're going off of, but that is pretty close. I think this shoulder is wider, which I could have easily done by extending that blend, but I didn't check it. So we're just going to say that's good. And the bottom of the shank is too wide. Okay, well, easy to fix. Just got to move those profile curves in. These guys, if you just grab both of them and bring them in, one of them was locked. Just grab both of them and bring them in. Did it not do it? It did it. Turn these surfaces, they're all broken off now, and turn on the, you know, it would have made that. So that brought all of that in. You're going to have to fix your blends. I broke history on something. Broke history on that. Okay, well, always start with the template file and then you break it as you go along, but that's fine. Okay, so the shank is a hair too wide at the base, but other than that, I think this is a success. I don't know, what do you guys think? See, I matched it on this side, but I didn't check that the shank was twisted, and it was. So it matches on this side where I lined it up. But again, hand carved, 30 years old. Oh, I'm surprised that doesn't line up. That doesn't line up. But that's okay, because when you get to this point, right? When you mirror this around, just break history on it and explode it. You can just do a match surface right here. Match surf between these two edges. What is going on here? Did I type match surface wrong? I'm better at clicking buttons. That and that. Average the surfaces, go for tangency, okay. And that'll get rid of that little, like there might be a little weirdness here because we never specifically set the tangency. So you can go do, average surfaces, tangency, okay. And now those two will match. I did do those two right. Why is average? Oh, this side's not exploded. Explode. Match this and this, and average, and okay. And now you've got tangency there. So pop that around to the other side. Nope, not that one. Always safer to do it this way. Pop that around to the other side. Nope. That side. Join. And we can check it. Oh, I could have read it up here. And one closed surface, so it is closed. And we got rid of that little weirdness. Why, I don't know why that should have lined up on its own the way I built it, because our head curves, these two should be on the same X. Yep, they were on the same X. So I'm not sure why that got off tangency. And the last thing in this file is a sprue. So this little sprue in my template, there's a little dot right there. There's a little dot right there. You just take and move that from there to the bottom of the shank. And then you've got, I think it's like almost 4 millimeters. It's 3 millimeters. Which that's where I attach it to the tree. And I just cut this, thing off. Shaded. I cut that thing off, just score it with a razor blade and wiggle it at the corner and it'll fall out. I cut that off before casting, and then just take that and that straight to the tree and you're done. All right. Anybody have any questions? And I did put this template file in Discord before I started this. I didn't include the mesh because it was like 20 megs. But the template file I just threw into Discord for any of you guys that want to play around with it. Okay. Well, if nobody has any questions, you guys can always ask them later in Discord. All right. Well, I've got some other template files that are less ambitious than this one, and maybe I'll cover those not in a live video, but actually record a video. I'll give you a preview real quick. Let me hit the be right back. Okay, so this is my template for emerald cut heads. So this is a little arc that you use to match your finger rail. So whatever the shape of the finger rail is, you just scale off of 0, and it'll match the profile of your finger rail. Undo that, but let's see, we could turn off junk, curves, flow. Actually, I'll turn it all on and just point to it quickly. But this curve controls all of these curves, which flow onto here. I do need to turn junk off if I'm going to show that. And then you can change the, shape of how these guys flow onto here, lets you change the shape, and then it flows onto this surface, which lets you bend it around a little bit, or raise it up and down. But it's an emerald cut. And then these control curves here head, control, select objects, points on. You know, you just take and grab whatever your width is. What did I grab that I shouldn't have grabbed? Oh, I know. Turn the points off for that, turn that off, and select control, points on, whatever your width is, whatever your length is. Take this flow surface and put it on the corner. If you need to change the angle, you can change the angle, whatever. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, the base needs to match. So you just take that and slide it on down, and then that'll line up in the corner. So I've got that one. I'll do what would you guys like to see? Me making this template from scratch, or just how to use it? Let me know. Oh, that got really wonky on me. Didn't mean to do that much. But this is just nice if you need to twist it, because sometimes you need to twist it to fit flush, blend in with something next door. You know, sometimes you need to twist the bottom, so there's an extra step here that lets you do a little twisty to it. But it's just a loft, or curves, flow along curve, a loft, flow along surf to here. And you get 2 loft that you can join up. And then I've got another template for 3 stone rings. So let me know what you guys want to see, like making the template from scratch, just using it, that sort of stuff. Maybe I'll do a video making the Signet ring from scratch, but I'll put it in the Discord so you guys will have mine. But I don't know if it's value, if you guys know how to make it on your own. Okay, I'm getting out of here. I gotta go print and cast and do all that fun stuff. So